How do you become a great manager as a startup CEO? Hi, I'm Brett, and this is going to be our subject today is all about management. I'm going to walk you through 4 key areas of how to be a great manager. So let's get started. The first key to being a great manager is, of course, it's culture. Now, culture, I talk about this a lot. Culture is king. If you have a great culture, which means also you have a great team around you, because you can't have a great culture without a great team. Well, that's going to allow you to be a great manager. Now, managing is a little different than leading. So it's a little bit different topic that we're going to talk about today than leadership. But being a great manager is first about having a great culture around you. That's going to be critical to your success. If you have a great culture, well, then you have the ability to manage. So we want to focus on culture first, getting the culture right. We want to have a positive culture, an inclusive culture where people want to be in the company, where they're happy, they're surrounded by great people, they're paid well, they don't want to leave. That culture, more than any other culture in startup land, is going to be the most successful culture for most companies. So we want to have a culture like this. We want to relentlessly focus on culture first. That's going to be our first test in being a great manager. Then, as we're focused on our great culture, we're focused on making decisions that are consistent with our great culture. Remember, every decision we make, everything we do, either adds or subtracts from the culture that we're after. So we want our decisions to be consistent with having a great culture. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the things that to me is really, really, really important if I'm building anything, it's going to be integrity. So integrity is going to be kind of this lightning rod for everything we do. So we're going to look at integrity first, also as we're building our culture. And we're going to think about, do we have integrity here? Is this decision showing that I have integrity? Does it show that we're operating, even if we're hurting our finances by making this decision? We know we're making the right decision if we're operating from a place of integrity. Integrity is going to lead us in our battle. It's hard to have integrity all the time. It truly is, because you're going to get pushed, to do things where maybe you can drop your integrity a little bit, huh? Don't do it. You'll live to regret it. Don't do it. Keep your integrity high at all times. That's what we want to do. Second, we have to understand how our decisions impact our team. Now, we talked about culture, right? So we're going to look at how they impact the culture, but how does a decision impact the team as well? Think about, as you're making especially key decisions, how's the team going to react to this? How are our customers going to react to this? How are investors going to react to this? Because we want to understand all these second and third level effects when we're making decisions about our company and about what we do. Because again, it's either going to positively or negatively impact the team, the company. Those are all things we need to take into account. Now, here's what I'm not saying here. I'm not saying here if you need to promote Sally instead of Jimmy, that you shouldn't promote Sally because you know what, Jimmy's going to be hurt by it. I am saying that you should recognize, especially if Jimmy's a key contributor, that you know what, you have an obligation to sit down and talk to Jimmy about why Sally got the promotion and Jimmy didn't get the promotion. Those are things that you do as a good manager. So we understand the impact of what we're doing on the various people around us and the various areas that are going to be affected by what we're doing. We take that into account when we're making our decisions, because sometimes we may change our decision in terms of what we're doing. We have all sorts of strategic reasons to change decisions. Number 3, or third, demotions. Now, by demotions, I'm not a big fan of demoting people. I really don't like it, quite frankly. I kind of think, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little harsh here, but it's just reality. I kind of think that in most cases, when somebody isn't performing well, you're likely, instead of demoting them, you're likely going to let them go. And I know that sounds really harsh, and it is really harsh, but it's just, again, reality speaking here. And when you think about the impact on the team of keeping somebody around, it usually isn't a good thing. Let me tell you a story of this. And this is especially true, by the way, with founders. You find this a lot with founders. So let's say you and a co-founder started your company, and your co-founder, for whatever reason, just isn't performing anymore. But you don't want to fire your co-founder. And it's been for 6 months, or it's been for a year. You've talked to your co-founder, and your co-founder just is going through the motions. You know it. Your co-founder knows it. What do? Well, you can demote your co-founder. This is what a CEO that I worked with did. He moved him from being, the co-founder was running sales, and he moved him over into marketing, hoping the problem would go away. The problem didn't go away. It festered for about 6 months, and then the co-founder started getting angrier and angrier, and eventually it forced the CEO finally to fire the co-founder. And this was a huge mistake on the CEO's part. CEO should have fired him instantly, but he didn't. And I asked him, I said, well, what kind of feedback were you getting from the VP of marketing? And he told me, he said, she hated my co-founder because my co-founder just wasn't doing anything. And I think what happened here was the CEO committed this cardinal sin of putting himself first ahead of the others in the company. And it really burned him, because now he had to do what he should have done originally. He lost credibility because he didn't think of the impact of his decision on others, and he didn't think logically about, well, I've cut this person off, I've moved this person down the chain, the person isn't performing. How's he likely to take this over here in marketing land? Well, we know how he took it. And it hurt him, and it hurt his company. It's fixable, but it didn't need to be. So don't make that mistake. Now let's talk about raises and reviews. Now, I like to think about the review process as, rather than being once a year, being once a week. Imagine if you're getting consistent feedback, or giving consistent feedback to your team, to your direct reports every week on how they're doing, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Well, how do you do that, you ask? Easy. You have a one-on-one meeting with each direct report. I like to do it every week. You can do it every other week, whatever works for you. And you make the meeting all about them. This is their time to communicate with you, and it's your time to communicate with them. And as a manager, this is a great chance for you to give feedback. This is what you're doing well, this is what you're not doing well, and to get feedback from your reports on what they need from you. How can you help them? What concerns do they have? How are you doing as a manager? And to build rapport with each member of your team. This is really, really important to do. This is what makes the review process, when you have the review, there should be absolutely no surprises to anybody when you review them. They should know that they're going to have a good review or a not so good review, because they've been getting this feedback every single week. And then you know what the review process turns into, because there are no surprises? It's a talk about the future. Okay, let's celebrate what we've done over the past year together, and let's celebrate your success. Now let's talk about, what are we going to do in this next year together? That's what a great review process is like. There are no surprises, because the review process is consistent every single week. And if you do that, nobody on your team, it's not going to be a mystery to anybody about what's going on. They're going to know what's going on. This is what we want. Finally, I like doing reviews at the same time for everybody. Now, why do I like this? Because what happens is companies go through ups and downs. And if you review everybody at various periods throughout the year, it might change how you review everybody, and it won't be consistent. However, if we review everybody at the same time every year, well, then number one, it gets it all done, which is kind of nice. You can budget for the next year, which is kind of nice. You know exactly what's going on financially. And your team knows, okay, June is review time or whenever it is. And everybody knows they've gotten their reviews. And because you're consistent across the team is also happy with what's going on. So it helps in many different ways doing it this way. So I like to do reviews once a year for everybody. I think that works pretty well. So that's my little trick on what to do with reviews. Do them once a year for your whole team. I think you'll find it works better. Also, it's easier to manage that way, so it works better for you too. So it's kind of like a double win. Okay, well, we've gone through the 4 pieces of being a great manager. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. I hope you've enjoyed today's talk. Have a great day.